Welcome, or wrist, and welcome to another unboxing. Let's jump straight into it. Here's the outer box, or the outer sleeve I should say. Quick 360 of it. Let's slide her off into the outer box with that big Rolex coronet on the top there. Nice and embossed in this creamy outer box. Nothing too fancy. Let's take the lid off. Put that to the side. Inside, we can see that protective little foam sheet. Leave that there. Some Rolex, more Rolex branding down the bottom there. Let's take this green box out. Okay, the green Rolex box. It's always exciting to see one of these. That nice wave pattern on top with that gold crown, the coronet. 360. Nothing too fancy, to be honest. I mean, I feel like Rolex could do a much better job with their boxes. I mean, the prices you're paying for these types of watches, you know, they could do a much better job, like Omega. I really like how Omega does their boxes. Rolex up there, nice felt or suede type inner. Color of the inner matches that of the outer box, so nice and cohesive. You know, really simple. Let's take the watch out for a second, put that to the side, and let's take a closer look. So here's the pillow. You know, not too fancy. I like the shape of their pillows. It gives it a really nice squish test. Makes it really mold to your wrist size, because I know some watch pillows tend to get a bit tight if you have smaller wrists. So Rolex pillows are always just, you know, solid and great. Spare links, so it is sized to my wrist already. We have a compartment up here, kind of like a secret compartment. I like this about Rolex. It's, you know, holds everything there, doesn't fall out, and it keeps everything nice and clean. Let's see. Here we get the manual. We also get a white tag and the Rolex hang tag as well. See that there? And here we get kind of like a card holder, a Rolex card holder for your serial number. Also has the, you know, date of your watch. So make sure to keep this in handy. Pretty nice, very clean looking. We get our guarantee manual for worldwide service. Slots nicely inside. Yeah, big fan of this compartment that Rolex does. Keeps everything together so you don't lose it all. You can just keep it all in there and then shut it and it stays in. Links back in, pillow back in. Alrighty guys, let's get to the watch. Here it is. This is the Rolex GMT Master II 126710 BLRO, more famously known as the Pepsi. And that's thanks to that striking bezel there. Blue and red to match that Pepsi colorway. And just right off the bat, guys, the red really does pop out. Now the blue is a lot more subdued and subtle compared to the Batgirl. It's more of like a navy dark blue, and the red, it's also like this dark red color, and it does have hints of blue within the red. So it's not like a super rich red. It's like this darkish blood red, which I quite like. I think it matches well with that darker tone of blue. Now that red GMT hand really does stand out against that black dial, and I think it stands out a lot more than the Batgirl's blue hand, which makes it a lot more legible and easier to read. Now guys, as I said, this is quite a striking colorway, which makes it a very striking and imposing watch. I mean, just looking at it, it just feels different, you know. And I know that's just it's probably all the hype around the Pepsi, but this colorway really does help it, look, just stand out from the crowd. That red really does help it to pop. And I think it's just so iconic and recognizable. The blue and red, you kind of instantly recognize it as a Rolex GMT because they do have, that heritage, that history. It's really just a great classic option, a classic colorway when you're considering the GMT. Now here we get, a nice black dial, nothing too fancy. You do get, again, that blue and red bezel with the red GMT hand, Mercedes hands there in white gold. The case, it's that, a bit slimmer maxi style case, similar to that of the sub. Crown guards brushed on the top, polished crown guards there. Polished sides, slab sides, as usual, solid case back. So, not really anything to look at. Turning it to the back, which is kind of a shame because Rolex movements are finished quite well. We get, this one is on the Jubilee, which, I much prefer the GMTs on a Jubilee. I think the flashiness of the Jubilee matches that glossiness of the ceramic bezel insert. And, these bezels are quite busy with all their numerals and markers. I think that really ties in well with the Jubilee. The Jubilee also just gives it that pop and that flash. Really makes this whole GMT like a statement piece. Really pops on your wrist. Now the Jubilee, it's a 5-link construction. Polished centers there. Brushed sides. It's also polished on the side profile, just like the case. Now I like how Rolex does their screws. Like one side, it's flat, sits quite flush with the links, makes it very inconspicuous. So I like that detail. Tapers very well. I like that dramatic taper. The clasp, oyster lock clasp. We get easy link extension. Not much, but at least it's something. Snaps in well. Now, being a Jubilee, I can already tell this is going to be absolutely comfortable. The Rolex Jubilee just feels amazing on the wrist. So let's get it on. Now guys, I have about a 6.5 inch wrist, and this watch is 40 millimeters. So here it is on my wrist. And again, very comfortable. That taper really helps to reduce any form of hot spots or poking, and it just looks so well. I really like how that busy bezel ties in and flows into that Jubilee. Alright, let's get a quick Lume shot. So turning these lights off. There it is, nice and bright. Now this is a completely dark room, but you can see there, we get Lume on all the hour markers, hands, hour, minutes, GMT and seconds hand. None on the bezel and none at the date there under the Cyclops. Let's turn these lights back on. Now guys, if you're thinking about getting, just one Rolex or even just one really nice watch, I really think the Pepsi, it's just that watch to get. I mean, it really does, for me, symbolize modern Rolex. It's like, it's flashy, it just pops, and it really stands out on the wrist. It's a real big, I guess, just statement piece, and it's just really nice overall. I mean, you can't really go wrong with the GMT Master II. The only downside is these are so incredibly hard to get, which I know it does put off quite a lot of people and does put quite a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. But if you're really wanting a Rolex, I highly suggest the Pepsi. I mean, this really could be a one watch collection right here. I mean, it has everything you kind of want in a watch. It looks great, works as a statement piece. It can be dressed up, dressed down, you know, casually. It just works in pretty much every situation. I feel like this really is the quintessential modern day Rolex. Now guys, once I spend more time with this watch, I will do a review, and I do plan to compare this to the Batgirl as well, so stay tuned for that. Guys, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more watch content. I'll see you in the next one.